Hey all, welcome back to my second channel. Now, originally I kind of intended for this channel to be more for non-racing game related stuff, but I guess in cases like these, it makes sense to just kind of talk about this. Like, this is just my channel where I just talk about random stuff that I want to talk about now, basically. And what I want to talk about today is Need for Speed Unbound. More specifically, the newest Unbound update and why I didn't make any videos on it. This is a question that I got a couple of times during my streams or also just on Discord. Like, hey, are you gonna, make another review video on Volume 3 of the Unbound update, or, what's going on? Basically, what happened is that EA once again, like, if you're completely out of the loop, I'm kind of like part of this like EA creator network. We could basically sign up for the update that we basically get early access to it again, and we can make videos on it and then release them, with an embargo. This time around, I did not sign up for this at all because I just genuinely didn't want to, and it doesn't actually have anything to do with the game itself. It's not like that the game itself. It's not like my opinion of the game has like drastically shifted over the last couple of months since we've had the last update, but it's just more that the community and just like online discussions around Unbound have become so exhausting. And I think this is something that a lot of content creators are feeling, but it's just something that became so extremely exhausting to constantly have to interact with. So this is something I already felt pretty much during my after my first video on the Volume 2 update for Unbound. So basically, I produced my content and I released the video, and reading the comments under that video was extremely exhausting. Yeah, there's no other way other than exhausting, I guess. There were so many people either just calling me an EA shill now, that EA is like holding a gun against my head behind the camera, or that my opinions suck and that Unbound sucks and that this update sucks. And it was a lot, it was like a lot of opinions, a lot of emotions that came out from that video that I didn't really see coming. And I guess it's no one's surprised that Unbound is a little bit more controversial. Like, it's a fairly controversial Need for Speed game where people have a lot to say about it. And I feel like just in general, like, online discussion surrounding this game has become absolutely insufferable. Like, if you are someone who likes the game and you openly say online that you like the game, you will have an absolute hate crowd on your ass telling you how wrong you are, how bad the game is, how stupid you are for liking it, how much better the older games were, etc., etc. But also, on the other hand, if you didn't like the game and you criticize the game, even if it's like fair criticism, you will have a completely different crowd on your ass that attacks you for criticizing the game and defends the game and says you are just a nostalgia-clouded idiot, right? Or something even worse. It's like, it doesn't matter what you say about the game. Whether you criticize it or you defend it, you will always have one crowd on your ass ready to attack you. And it's insane. I've never seen that with any racing game. Even if you take a more neutral stance, like I literally did in my update video, like I was very neutral in my update review video, people still accused me of both, right? Like, they said, oh, you're not criticizing enough. This is such a bad update and such a bad game. How can you defend this? But then I also had people saying, no, this is actually much better. The game isn't that bad. People are just, people like you are just like, going way over the top with this. Like, I actually had both crowds on my ass for just being neutral. It is crazy. It is absolute insanity. And this is something that I saw a lot of other content creators basically experience. So, someone has made a video recently on Unbound in general. Like, they just wanted to like do a quick review on the game. And in my chat, he also said, like, man, the comments under that video were unbearable. And it's like, yeah, because for whatever reason, Unbound is still so extremely polarizing. Like, the game is now like over half a year old. You think that at this point the people that didn't like the game moved on and pay attention to literally anything else, whereas the people that still play the game, they just enjoy it and they watch content on it and it's all fine and dandy, like with any other game. But for whatever reason, that's not how it works with Unbound. Unbound is just such an extremely polarizing game that makes online discussion absolutely insufferable. And this is the main reason why I didn't make a video on the update, on the new update for Volume 3, because I knew this is just gonna happen again. I'm gonna have to go through an absolute barrage of just comments accusing me of all kinds of things, none of them, you know, having any sort of proof for what they're saying, and it's just something I didn't want to deal with. It's something where I was like, yeah, you know what, I'll pass, you know. Especially like most of the arguments that were thrown against me, most of the criticism, if you can even call it that, had zero merit. Like the people that, you know, called me an EA shill. I'm just gonna be very transparent about that, you know, review video. EA paid me $50 for that video. That is it. Because I was still able to monetize the video, and I was able to make a video on a topic that other content creators didn't have a chance to, you know, make a video on. So it makes sense that they're not paying you a massive amount of money for a video like that, because you'll make that money back anyways from the video. Like I earned more ad revenue from that video than what EA paid me. And I'd imagine that's probably true for literally any other content creator that made, you know, videos on this update. So it's just absolutely exhausting. I hope I conveyed how exhausting, you know, just generally talking about Unbound is. And this extends to like so many things regarding this game. Like I remember there was also like this huge wave of just videos talking absolute shit about on the soundtrack. And let me be clear. I did not like the soundtrack either. Okay, I'm not a fan of the soundtrack. There were maybe like 5 songs that I liked. The rest I really didn't like or just forgot about. But just these, you've probably seen this barrage of videos where people just like cut a clip of Unbound with music together with a clip from Most Wanted or Underground 2 to just show how much better the music was in that game. Okay, I hate to break your nostalgia goggles, but Most Wanted and Underground 2, they had bad songs too, okay? They also had songs that were not good. Even Pro Street, which is my favorite Need for Speed and also has my favorite soundtrack in the entire series, has bad songs that I really do not like. That's just how it is. It just so happens that with Unbound, either the songs are even worse, and you can certainly make an argument that the worst songs in Unbound are, you know, either poorly composed or badly produced, badly performed, or maybe like a combination of those three. And I think you'd probably be right in saying that about a couple songs. But it's just like this constant comparison to like, oh, this old game's so much better. It's just so annoying. Like I feel like at certain parts it's fine. Like when you talk about, let's say for example, the physics, right? And you say, okay, why does this game from 2023 have more simplistic and less believable physics than this game from the early 2000s? Like I think that's fair. But constantly having to compare everything and just constantly showing these old games in this much better light, it's exhausting. You know, I feel like at that point we're putting these old games on a pedestal, right? That just doesn't represent reality at all. Because these old games also had issues. I will say they had less issues than arguably the more modern games, right? But it's just something that I feel like is impossible to talk about anymore. Like you just can't talk about Unbound anymore without someone saying old game better, you're wrong, you're this, blah 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 blah. I didn't want to go through that again. I've had more than enough. I feel like it's just a game that is just way too polarizing for its own good. You know, it's a game that I feel like nobody shuts up about, which doesn't make sense to me either. Like if the thing is, like if you don't like the game, that's fine. I also only thought the game was fine. I thought it was okay. I didn't like enjoy it to a tremendous amount. I wasn't actually a huge fan of the single player. But I just move on. Like, why do you pay so much attention to something that you don't like? You know, like just play something else. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in some people's heads, man. But this is basically the reason why I didn't make another review video on the newest Need for Speed Unbound update, because I do not want to deal with this community anymore. And unfortunately, I feel like this has kind of also impacted my desire to make Need for Speed content in the future. Because you will see something similar with other Need for Speeds as well. Like you also have like this massively, let's call them passionate crowd for, you know, Need for Speed Most Wanted, that are also willing to fight you to the death to defend Need for Speed Most Wanted. You know, and will not accept any criticism. And I feel like that's just a community I do not want to interact with anymore. So it's the reason why I haven't made a lot of Need for Speed content in recent months, you know, because it's just like this community, I just don't want to like interact with it anymore, you know. Like we made the Pepeka mod for Pro Street, and there was like a lot of good reception to it, some criticism, which is absolutely fair. But I feel like with that was kind of like my, at least for me personally, it felt like my final contribution to the Need for Speed community. At least that's just kind of how I see it, you know. So I don't know if I'll still make Need for Speed content in the future. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe next year. I don't know. Maybe if a new Need for Speed is coming out, we'll see, I guess. But I'm definitely done when it comes to Unbound, and I honestly have huge respect for any other content creators that still dare to make any videos on Unbound, because I saw a lot of my peers, a lot of my content creator peers complain about the exact same thing. Respect for having the mental fortitude to put up with that, because I sure as shit don't. So I hope that kind of like answers the question that some of you may have had when I'm gonna make another video on Need for Speed Unbound, on what's up with that. The question is, I never will. Unbound is just a game I'm kind of done with, and I just want to move on to other stuff. And yeah, that's kind of about it. Thanks for listening to me rambling and ranting about Unbound and the community. And yeah, do you share my sentiments? Can you feel, you know, the same when it comes to Unbound? I know most of you aren't like content creators, and I think this is more of a content creator issue. But maybe if you're a viewer, you've observed these things. Let me know if you do. But yeah, I think that's it for today. So next time I'll talk about something else that isn't like just constantly complaining about a community. But that shall be it for today, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out. New main channel uploads should be coming fairly soon. Sorry for the massive break of uploads. But yeah, I hope to see you then. Take care, take it easy. Peace. See you guys.